You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. The ChrisVossShow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone alike. Welcome to the big circus, the tent in the sky, if you will, of entertainment, of information, of broadening of your mind, all the stuff that we do on the Chris Voss Show. 14 years and almost 1,500 episodes now. We're just growing like a weed. 2 to 3 episodes a day. If you're not tuning in for all the great stuff we're putting out all the time, the brilliant minds and everything else, you're just losing out. You're just losing out. Like you'll probably lay in bed at night and go, I miss listening to the Chris Voss Show tonight. I don't think I'll ever be the same. I'm going to have to catch up tomorrow. Anyway, as always, these are the setups we do for the silly plugs. Please go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, goodreads.com/Chris Voss. I mean, I have this picture in my head of people losing sleep at night over it. Go to linkedin.com/Chris Voss, TikTok at Chris Voss1. And hey, also, we're on that new Threads thing from Instagram. It's the new Twitter competitor. So follow us over there. I think it's Chris Voss Official, and the Chris Voss Show is there as well. Today we're talking about some amazing stuff, some amazing journey. You have a little bit of car business, and we have a gentleman on the show. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you're definitely missing out, because there's a beautiful sort of ZZ Top-ish, what we call it, antique, older style, but new style. We'll get into what that means on the show behind him. So make sure you check out the YouTube video as well. We have on the show with us today a gentleman who has a company that's making electric cars, and he has more than 50 years of experience with it. And we're talking about his company, Shockwave Motors, and some of the roadsters and trikes he's making and everything else. So we'll get into the deets on that. For more than 50 years of experience with electric vehicles, John Q. McMilliand has been working with electric vehicles. 12 years old, he designed and built an electric go-kart at a top speed of 30 miles per hour in high school physics class. He researched, designed, and executed the conversion of an NSU Prince. We'll have him tell us what that is. In college, he researched a bit of variety of electric cars, including one from the ground up. And after majoring in transportation, earning an MBA from the University of Tennessee, he spent 8 years on active duty with the Air Force. The last assignment was a missile combat crew commander for the Titan II ICBM system at Little Rock AFB. And while in the Air Force, he continued to design and convert cars to electric power. This guy has some things about electric power, but he sure saw the future coming. He designed the Defiant EV3 Roadster with the ground up to enhance power and performance and lower electronic vehicle costs. Presently resides in Cherokee Lake in East Tennessee, living in a passive solar earth-sheltered home of his own design. So there you go. Welcome to the show, John. How are you?
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm doing great.
Awesome sauce. And we're looking at this beautiful car behind you. We'll get into some of the deets of it, but I want to tease that out to our audience that needs to watch the YouTube. So give us a .com so people can look up your company and what you guys do on the internet.
Yeah, it's shockwavemotors.com. And we have pictures, videos, so forth, lots of information about our vehicles that we're working to produce.
There you go. And in your bio, we cited an NSU Prinz. What is that?
That's a small European car. I don't even know how it ended up in East Tennessee, but I came across it in the junkyard, and I think my dad and I paid like $50 for it, and we had to haul it off.
Wow!
And so that was the first conversion I did in high school.
There you go. Came all the way from Europe and ended up in Tennessee. Were they using Apple Maps or something?
Yeah. Ended up using golf cart components for most of that one. This was 68, 69. There wasn't a lot of EV components out there at that time.
There you go. So give us an overview of what Shockwave Motors is and does.
Well, what we're doing is we're reshaping the way people think about driving to work. You see a lot of vehicles out there. Tesla's wonderful car, beautiful cars, high tech, 250, 300, 400 miles to range. But the average commuter only drives about 25 to 30 miles a day. They spend less than an hour driving to and from work, and that vehicle sits for 23 hours a day. Yeah. So our goal is to be able to provide some fun, utility, safety, and put a smile on your face when you're driving to work in one of our Roadsters. These Roadsters are priced less than the average cost of a used car.
Wow.
Yeah. And what really, go ahead.
And the cost of cars, especially new, have gone through the roof.
Oh, through the roof, yeah.
Yeah, insane.
And the beauty of it is, what really sets us apart, not only do we have good speeds and drivability, but you've got a range of approximately 100 miles per charge, which is plenty for a daily commuter. But what really sets it apart is you plug it into any standard 120-volt outlet anywhere.
Oh, really?
Or at work. 8 hours later, you've got a full charge.
So I can charge almost anywhere. I don't have to have one of those little power station things in my house.
Exactly. Any standard 120-volt outlet you can plug our vehicles into, get a full recharge. So you've got technically up to a 200-mile-per-day range without having to do anything except plug it in at night to your outlet.
I'd be one of those guys that forget to charge it, so I just pull into 7-Eleven and be like, hey, if I pay a big gulp, can I just plug in for about 5 minutes here?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Still, that's pretty brilliant, because I know friends, they have to have their whole house redone because they have to get one of those power stations for their things, and then you got to have a station at work, so they got to install one of those at the office, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So this is pretty interesting. You seem to have had a storied history and a fascination with electronic vehicles. Give us your hero's journey story on that, and what got you down that pathway? Well,
I'll tell you, one of my earliest memories is of my dad and me sitting on the kitchen floor, and we were cleaning up an old car starter motor. He was talking to me about it and all that, but his idea was to put it on my little red pedal tractor. He wanted to turn it into a little battery-powered toy for me. Well, I got to tell you, that sure made an impression on me. And those toys now are everywhere. They're all little battery-powered cars are everywhere now for kids. But that was a long time ago, as you can tell by the gray hairs, and it sure made an impression on me. As you mentioned, did a go-kart in grade school, the science project not science project, but the physics project for physics and so forth, and just been one thing after another. And a number of years ago, decided I've been converting for vehicles for years. In fact, the footnote for you, one of the oldest vehicles we ever converted to electric power was 1914 Model T.
Oh, really?
It was gas powered. We converted it for a client into electric power. The sucker got up to almost 50 miles an hour, and we had to back off because it had the original wooden spoked wheels that were not exactly straight, and they were really warping and vibrating crazy.
That is crazy.
But decided wanted to build one from the ground up to make it as efficient as possible.
There you go.
3 wheels is less rolling resistant at slow speeds. It also means they can put a more aerodynamic shape for better performance at high speeds. So that led our team directly to the design layout of the Defiant Roadster.
There you go. And so can people order this yet on your website? Is it available for sale?
It is not available for sale. We are taking pre-orders now.
Okay.
Because we hope to be in production in the next 6 to 8 months. It just depends on a number of things, not the least of which is finances. Our Roadster is the pre-production Roadster, meaning we could go to production with it pretty much as it sits. And we're just, looking for additional capital as things happen to get into production.
Now, I think you're also possibly considering maybe doing some crowdfunding as well.
That is something that's under consideration, and we'll make a final decision on that a little bit later. But that's something we're looking at.
So people should just follow your website, get to know you guys better, see what you guys are doing over there, and try and just keep abreast of all the stuff that's going on. In fact, to see here on the website, the Defiant E3 Electric Roadster, I think it was $3 per commute up to 200 miles a day for about $3.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
It's incredibly economical.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful looking car. It when you first came on the show, it looks like it kind of has a bit of a feel of the ZZ Top Eliminator sort of vehicle. Yeah, that old style Roadster, if you will. And does the top come off?
It does indeed. It latches in place.
There you go.
Lift it right off. It's one each side. Lift it right off.
Mm-hmm. And can you get it in various transmission styles, or does it only come in one?
It only comes in one. It's a single-speed transmission that's mounted in the rear wheels, like basically like a differential. Basically, is what it boils down to. With electric motor mounted to that.
There you go. I know. My youngster nephew. He's like, everything has to be a stick shift. I'm like, I don't think electronic cars come with stick shift.
Actually, they can. The conversions did.
Really? Yeah.
We did conversions with them. Yes. And that was cool because you could actually decide what gear was most economical for you. If you're driving around inside of town, 25 miles an hour was all you did. We stayed in second gear for the most part.
There you go. And so you guys have a newsletter. People can follow what's going on. Now, do you have more than one car that you're selling?
We do. We have the Defiant Roadster you see behind us. And we're also prototyping what we call the Draco Sports Trike. And it's basically it's like a sand rail dune buggy. And it's powered by a single hub motor in the rear. It has two wheels in front and one wheel in back.
And so can people is it basically like a car where you sell the basic frame and everything, the wheels and the motor and the seats I see in it, and then like people can just drive it that way on the sports trike, or they can maybe modify whatever sort of body they want on it?
Yeah, we don't have a body for it yet, and actually we found that we showed it for the first time to the public about a month ago, and they loved it like it was. They loved the dune buggy look, sand rail buggy look. We do anticipate at some point designing a body for it, but right now, if somebody wants it like that, we'll be happy to build it and sell it for them just as soon as we can.
It looks pretty cool. I'd love to pick up a date in it just to see what the date would say.
There you go.
Like, where's the rest of your car, buddy?
Yeah,
I'm like, this is it. This is it. It's built for speed and efficiency and free air conditioning.
It is. And in fact, the top speed of the Draco is expected to be between 90 and 100 miles an hour.
Holy crap. There you go. And then do these cars offer federal electric vehicle tax incentives?
They will.
Nice.
Some of that's kind of in the air right now, but the way it has been, the vehicles, because of the battery capacity, would qualify for approximately a $5,000 tax incentive. And that drops the price down when you take federal tax incentives into account, and not even state, but federal. That drops the price down of the Roadster to less than $20,000.
Holy crap. You can't buy a new car for $20,000.
You can't buy a good used car.
You can't buy a used car.
Yeah. The average price is almost $30,000 now for a used car.
Yeah. And this thing is fun and good looking and stuff. It's now, how many people can you fit in this? Trunk space, all that stuff people are usually looking for as well. You've
got three people that'll fit in it, one in the front, two in the back. Of course, again, this is designed as a commuter car, so we're not worried a whole lot about, how many people can you pack into it, because you don't take it on long road trips. It's that second daily driver that people have, that second vehicle. So it has trunk space. You could put probably a set of golf clubs in there if you needed to.
Yeah.
A few grocery bags, things like that.
Maybe a body or something. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that, people.
Small.
There you go. Small. There you go.
Jimmy Hoffa would not be found back there. Sure.
And we're still looking for him, by the way. So if anybody does come across him, and I think the guy who jumped out of the plane in Oregon in the 60s or 70s. So there you go. And we were talking in the show, for those that are listening in the audio version, which mostly goes out on Apple, it's kind of got, what do they call these, like bug eye lights, or what do they call these lights? Yeah,
bug eye type light. They're actually more classic looking old school Roadster style lights. You had mentioned earlier about an earlier version we had LED lights that were built into it.
Oh wow!
But part of our communication with potential customers said they didn't like the front end so much. They wanted to keep that old school look going, so we redesigned it, put a little grill on it for style. The bug-eyed lights you're talking about all help complete that look.
There you go. And it's got a cool grill down the front. And tell us about the flare on the over the wheels and stuff, because that's kind of special and unique, I think.
It is, and the way we did it, the way we found out about it, that people were having some questions about the style, was we were at a show demonstrating the Roadster, and there was this guy standing behind a tree. And he was like this, and he'd go look like this, look at it for a minute, and he'd go look like this for a minute, and he'd go back like this for a minute. Finally, we said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well," he says, "I love the old school back end of the Roadster. I love that style, love that retro look you got going." But he said that front style with those LED lights and no fenders, he said, it just doesn't match the back. So we said, okay, we're going to listen to you. And we did. We talked to other people for months, and they agreed that we should continue the old school look. So what we did, those are basically styled after a 32 Ford Roadster, and those are rear fenders that are mounted in the opposite direction on the front end. In other words, a back right fender is flipped and mounted on the front left side of the car.
Oh, wow.
So it has that more round looking front and then trails to the back instead of trailing in front and rounding to the back like it really did. But it still continued that old school look. And
so it's got an old school look with 2023 electric technology in it.
yes.
You know, I remember with my dad growing up, he was always kind of into new stuff and, you know, solar and electronics because, you know, we went through the 1970s fuel crisis, you know, the oil embargo and stuff. And so, you know, everyone was searching for alternative fuels then. But, you know, the costs and the technology and everything was pretty high. Mm-hmm. And so now it seems like that future has finally caught up and arrived and it is widely accepted too. It seems, you know, people are like, hey, I'd rather have an electric vehicle. And my friends love them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they seem to be cheaper to run. I never bought one yet, but I guess I need to get around to it. Are you guys looking for investors in the company as well? I know we profiled one at CES a few years back, and we actually ended up picking up some investors for him off of our feed. Are you guys looking for investors in the company per se, as opposed to the car?
Yes, it's investors in the company. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we want, and regardless of how we do it, it'll be equity shareholders.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And so people can order a car if they just want to, or they can talk to you about investing in the company.
That's exactly right.
There you go. And either way, I guess it's
we've got over, in the last few years, we've had over and we're not actively selling them yet, obviously, but we've had over 200, actually pushing 250 now, people that have told us in writing, when you're in production, we want to buy one.
There you go. So, and they're unique. I mean, people like something unique that's kind of a flavor that no one else has. I think that's I
was going to say, I can't even drive to Walmart, you know. That 15-minute trip to Walmart becomes an hour and a half because people stop me. They want to see what we're doing. And they like the car and want to talk about it. Yeah, it's cool.
I should probably buy one and show up on dates. I mean, they won't know what to do. They'll probably be like, how much does this cost? So I noticed that on the two different models, one is they're both trikes. One has got a one wheel in the front, and then the other one has a one wheel in the back. Do I have that correct?
That's correct. The Defiant is one wheel in the front, two wheels in the back. It's a traditional trike, and then the Draco is a reverse trike with two wheels in the front, one in the back. Yeah. And one of the things that we like about the Roadster is its design. We have our design in what we call a passive head-on crash avoidance design. Because with this design and the fact that we have a tubular steel reinforced chassis that's on both sides of the vehicle, obviously, you're already 2/3 less likely to have a true head-on collision because the front end's smaller. And then if you do hit something, you're going to glance left or right instead of, again, because a typical car is 6 foot across, big head-on crash.
Oh, you stop.
With the smaller, just boom, you're dead.
Yeah.
With this one, you hit and you tend to glance off. You're 2/3 less likely to have a true head-on collision. And you'll glance left or right, which is better than a true head-on stop dead crash.
Yeah, you'll take less force and you don't come to a complete stop if you
of course, right. And we do have seat belts, shoulder harnesses, front and rear crumple zones as well, and that roll bar like protection system. We haven't mentioned that. When you take the top off, you'll see you've got a full roll bar behind the seats.
That's good to have, man. It's a beautiful looking vehicle and it looks like a lot of fun. I like how, I imagine people could choose what sort of, you guys have a really cool sort of fire blaze, a flag going down the side of this one.
We do, yeah.
I guess people can, people could potentially customize it with whatever they want down the side, that I'd put the ZZ Top Eliminator or something down the side of it. Or I don't know if I can do that legally.
Yeah.
And you guys got some great endorsements. Looks like here's one from someone from NASA and things like that.
Yep.
Gizmag, Gizmag, and who else do we have here? Automotive and technical author Kurt Robbins. So really cool what you guys are doing there. And what about dealership opportunities? I see that on your website as well. Are you going to be marketing dealerships and stuff?
We will. We'll be marketing through dealerships. We won't try to necessarily have our own, but we'll market through independent dealerships. And something that I want to highlight that we haven't mentioned so far is these vehicles are actually motorcycles.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So so they cost less to register or something?
Every economical benefit you find in a motorcycle, you'll find in this.
There you go. And the nice thing is you don't have to worry about tipping over with your motorcycle, because you're on two wheels, and if you don't put your feet down, you're going to fall.
And the vehicle is already very stable. We've had people say, "Oh, it tips over." No, it won't really. We've had people try to destabilize it on wet, windy East Tennessee roads, and they solid as a rock, because we designed it with about a 400-pound battery pack under the rear seat, directly in front of the axle back there. So it's solid as a rock.
There you go. I know that those motorcycle trikes got really popular, and two wheels is kind of dangerous. I'm just telling you like it is. I see enough people. I see enough brain surgeons and ER nurses on TikTok telling stories about motorcycle wrecks. And I've had friends, and they love their motorcycles, but there's an old line about motorcycles. There's going to come a day where you're going to have a crash, and how bad it is anybody's guess, but you will be crashing.
Two people I used to work with.
And so
I like one got in critical condition, barely survived.
Yeah, and sometimes brain injury and other things. I know I had one of our models from A to C years ago. She got severe brain damage. I don't think she ever recovered from it. But he was on a ninja bike and he was doing stupid stuff. She was on the back. Having having a chassis around you and a body around you, I kind of like a lot better for a motorcycle sort of usage. And the 3-wheel motorcycles, they really got popular. I see like Harley Davidson dudes driving around. I'm like, I don't know. He's probably a nice Harley Davidson dude. I don't know what that means, but it makes great comedy. Do we establish the prices on these? Do we want to talk about the prices? They might be subject to change. Yeah,
the go-to-market price on the Roadster is $24,950. And then, like I said, qualifies for state taxes and federal incentives and so forth. We haven't finalized it. We anticipate the Draco Sports Track to be somewhere around $19,000 before any incentives are applied. We're trying to build affordable electric vehicles.
Yeah.
We want people to be able to access them, drive them, have them available, usability.
There you go. And it's probably fun to see the vision of what you put together over 50 years of work in electronic vehicles, going from, the original stuff you were doing to this, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. The one I built when I was at UT, it had a handmade plywood body. That was the best I could do and afford back then. So it's nice to see it evolve and be a little more finished looking.
We moved up from plywood, so that's always good.
We've moved up from plywood.
You don't want to be in a crash with plywood. Have like little wood cinders flying all over the place. But no, electronic vehicles have become so popular; they've just become the in thing now. I was watching a graph. I wish I had it readily available, but I saw a graph I think over the last week that showed just the massive, just immediate increase of the demand and interest in electronic vehicles just over the past 3 years or so. I mean, it's just one of these curves that kind of slowly moves up, and then it's like it goes straight up, and you're like, wow. And people want something that was fun. Some of the, like I said, some of the other 3-wheel roadsters we've interviewed at like CS and other places, people loved them, and there's kind of a uniqueness to them. People want a car that says something about them and it's kind of unique. And I always kind of giggle at when I see car commercials like, Subaru, like, buy a Subaru because you're a unique person. You don't go with the crowd. Or like Apple, you don't go with the crowd. You're like, wait, they sold like 500 million units of that. I mean, if there's anything that's going along with the crowd, that could be it. But you go, girl. So there you go. And so people, I think, like stuff like this because it's so unique. It's going to get looks. It's going to kind of speak to your personality if you have some flair. And it's electronic, so you don't have to feel guilty about, the environment and stuff.
Oh, yeah. In fact, you mentioned the environment, and I'll highlight a couple of things. This vehicle can travel over 50 miles on the amount of electricity needed to make 1 gallon of gasoline.
Holy crap.
Tremendously economical. And, people talk about, oh, you got to plug them in. That's, carbon footprint and all that. Mm-hmm. Not when you take into consideration, because it seems like these people never do, that it takes electricity to make gasoline.
That's true.
They don't just pull it out of the ground, gasoline,
Yeah, it just doesn't come out, they just stick a pipe down there with a straw and suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up.
People think that's how it works. Oh, it goes down the ground and they pull it out. No, there's a truck that comes by and dumps all that stuff. I like the idea of how it has a 120 volt plug. I mean, that, some of my friends in California with the Teslas and stuff, they wait sometimes like 2 or 3 hours at these stations that Tesla set up, and they sell it like, well, you can go in and get a drink and sit around and enjoy the road or something. I don't know. But some of them got really bad, I think, over COVID. And I'm just like, if I'm in a car, I want to go someplace. Damn it.
Yeah.
And so it'd be great if you could drive over your friend's house and be like, hey, I gotta top off here before I head out. You mind if I just plug in the front of your house there on the lawn there, and you could just go with that. I love that idea because I've seen what my friends have spent and the work they put in to upgrade the house to have some big ass unit put in that, I don't know, that can shock you if you touch it.
It can easily be $5,000-$10,000 to rewire the house to get it accessible, and then you just plug it in, unplug it in the morning, and you're good to go.
Yeah. And then I've seen people on TikTok who have they have a generator in their the back trunk of their Teslas. And somehow they wired, I don't know how they did it, but somehow they wired it to make it all work. And they're
hybrid.
It's like total hybrid, but they have like a gasoline generator in the back. I don't know. But I suppose you can do that as well. Anything more we haven't touched on that you guys are up to and talking about that people should know about?
I can't really think of anything right at the moment I could add to it. We're just, I will tell you that we are passionate and committed to what we're doing. And in fact, the standard joke that I take all the time is, if I'm not committed, somebody should commit me.
Sounds like my podcast.
Yeah.
Sounds like everything I do in life. But no, I mean, the passion and commitment you've had for 50 years and what you put into these is pretty amazing. The standard battery configuration on the Defiant, up to 100 miles for a standard single charge, and a daily range of up to 200 miles with an 8-hour charge from a standard 120 outlet. That's pretty darn incredible. And then I think there's on the Draco Sports Trike, a range of 150 miles daily, up to 300 miles on a 9-hour charge.
Yeah, it's a little lighter, so it's going to accelerate faster and use less power.
There you go. There you go. And you're going to have a lot of fun with it.
The chassis is so light. Before we put the components, the front wheels, the hub motor, and all that, 2 people could pick up the steel chassis. It's that lightweight.
Really? That car?
It's that car, yes. That chassis. 2 people could pick it up before we added the battery and the wheels, the steering and all that. Yeah.
I probably designed my own body for it. Something really cool that's really unique. And people would be like, what's that? And I think it's my car. They don't make anything like it. I mean, that would be the thing you would do. You think more billionaires would cash in on that thing there, eh?
They certainly could.
So what's the best way for people to get to know you better, follow what you guys are doing? I know you have a newsletter as well, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
We're on Facebook, Shockwave Motors on Facebook. You can follow us there. LinkedIn, if you still like LinkedIn. Sign up for a newsletter. We send out a newsletter every few weeks, letting people know what we're doing and what we're up to and where we're going to be showing the Roadsters or now the Draco. And just we're easy to follow. And heck, my phone number's on the web page, so reach out and give me a call if you want to. Just make sure you leave a message if I don't answer, because I'll tell you right now, I do get a lot of spam calls, as you can well imagine.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, everyone should go.
I will call you back.
There you go. Everyone should go check out the pictures and the sights and sounds you guys have over there. You got a YouTube going and everything else. Yeah, I think it's exciting, and electric cars are just the in thing right now. I don't know what comes after electric cars. I don't know. Cars that run on air. I don't know.
Hover cars, maybe.
Hover car, yeah. Cars that float on air. So there you go. Anyway, give us your .com so we can find you on the interwebs.
Sure thing. Shockwavemotors.com.
There you go. Well, thanks, John, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. It's been very insightful and fun.
Well, thank you, Chris. Appreciate the opportunity, and you have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks so much for coming on the show as well. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss. Go see us over the new Threads and TikTok. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time. And that should have us.